So, the first crime is of tourists. So if you don't know Lakes Entrance, it's a tourist town. It always has been. It's a holiday town. It's a place that people came in to visit. So, two men arrived in Lakes Entrance with two young women they'd met in Bairnsdale. They walked across what was called the Bridge of Gold at the time, from where the boats would anchor to where they would come into town. The police watched the new arrivals coming into town, getting off the boat. So yeah, these two men arrived in Lakes Entrance, and while they were crossing the Bridge of Gold, the police were watching the new arrivals, and one of them looked very familiar, like the son of a railway man from Warrigal, whom he'd seen 14 years earlier. The men also had an expensive gun that they'd just purchased at Bairnsdale. So the policemen stopped this group, the couple, the duo couple, the two men and two ladies, and the police asked the men to provide their names, saying that the luggage wasn't identifiable to them, apart from containing lots of stickers of the major cities from Australia's east coast on it. So stickers of Brisbane, wow, I was going to say Bairnsdale again, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne. The men just said, "Oh, fancy asking us our names." This just piqued the interest of the police even more. So, one morning when the tourists went out shooting with the ladies, the police investigated their rooms at Chris Lawrence's Central Hotel in Lakes Entrance. There they found a clipping that raised the police's suspicions. They sent word to the Chief Commissioner about their suspicions of what they'd found. The Chief Commissioner said they'd need to do further investigation, this time giving them permission to continue with this investigation. So they did. The men returned when the police entered. They searched and questioned the men regarding the evidence they'd found, which looked like the men had defrauded a man in Melbourne of £300, which is how they had all this cash to splash. So what do you think should happen here? What do you think will happen to the men as a result of this alleged fraud that they've committed against a man? And we're talking £300, which was not a little bit of money. It's actually quite a lot back in the day when this was occurring. So also, do you have any comments on the process that was followed here? Haunted Hills podcast is obsessed with small towns. Tegan Dawson, the host, grew up in a small town or two. The house she lived in was from Yallourn, a town that did not exist anymore, and caught her young imagination. Each town is explored through the people, history, crime, paranormal, and legends. What do they say about the vibe of the town?